a cylinder or a prism compared to our pyramid again. And again, if you noticed, we fit how many of our pyramid into our prism again? 3, right? So how much less is my pyramid than my prism? 1/3 of it, right? So we're still going to be able to use the exact same formula that we've been using, except now we're just going to use 1/3. So here's the question. Besides the prism and the pyramid, now we have a cylinder, right? The cylinder was a lot like the prism. It just has always a circular base. So does the same thing happen if the cone has the same size base as the cylinder? Are we going to have as many or as less cones that could fill up the cylinder? What do you think? It'd be the same? Everybody agree with Mary? So if we would do the experiment again, we could get 3 of these into that. Everybody agree? Think so? All right. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Again, now remember, we're looking at volume. So if it's a pyramid again, what does it have? What are the characteristics of a pyramid? It has to have what? One base. That's how I name it again. And then all of my faces are what? Triangles. Okay? And we have to make sure that we take those triangles to a point. Right? So the volume of a pyramid is going to simply be V equals, what did we have for volume yesterday? Capital B times H, right? So we're still going to use that. Every single one of them has been capital B times H. But now, because it's a pyramid compared to a cylinder, we're going to do what? We're going to take 1/3 of it. Okay, so again, this is what? The area of the base. Okay? This is what? The height. Now remember, this is where it gets a little confusing. Because when we did this with surface area and such, my formula included what for pyramids and cones? Yeah, the slant height, the cursive L, right? That's different than this height. The height has to be where? Inside or straight up from the middle to the top. So it could be shown on the outside if it's kind of slanted or whatever. But it has to, again, make or go from the vertex to the base and form 90-degree angle. And again, how do I know that? I'll put the little box in there. Okay? But again, that's basically all that we have to do. And so, realistically, the volume of a cone should be just as simple, right? Basically, the volume of the cone we can simplify even more because we're still going to use the exact same thing, V equals 1/3 base times height. But in a cone, we always know that the base of a cone is always the what? A circle. And so, realistically, we can simplify our formula by saying, what's my area of my base? Pi r squared h. So pi r squared is my base. I still have my h. And then you can have that 1/3. Now again, remember, this right here and the same over on the other one, these two things are the exact same thing. It's just how you decide to write it, right? Or think about it. 1/3 base times height, or base times height divided by 3 is the exact same thing. But again, we can simplify this because I know that that has to always be true. in a cone. And again, if we would have done the exact same experiment that we did yesterday, we could have poured 3 of these into that cylinder, and that would have proved it. So basically, they're saying that those around there, that's another one right over there, and that's another one right over there. So there's actually a total of 3. Okay? Questions there? So let's look at a couple of examples, and then you got the rest of the time to work. So this section, hopefully, you can work on in class in case you have any questions. Oh, do we still have an assignment to correct? Go do that before you leave. So, again, notice, if they give me my slant height here, okay, so find the lateral area of the square pyramid. They tell us what the base of it is by the name, so it has to be a square. So again, if I'm going to do this base times my height, do I have my height? No. So remember, when I have this height, I have to go through and figure out, oh, I'm in the wrong section. What an idiot. My fault. Volume of maybe that's why it's not on there. Am I not seeing it, or is it really not?
No, it's right. Volume of prisms.
Yeah, but that's prisms and cylinders. You don't see it either? I'm not trying to make excuses, but my computer was reloading for 20 minutes this morning. So I apologize. So, here, again, they have my square pyramid, and this time they actually give me my height, right? The thing right down the middle. So, what am I going to do? What's the area of my base? Area. 9, right? 3 times 3. If this side's 3, this side's also have to be 3. Base times height is 9. 9 times 7. 63 divided by 3. Remember now, I can divide by 3 whenever I want. So basically, all I really had to do is take 3 times 7. Because I'm going to do that divided by 3 with the 1/3. That makes sense? Now, again, notice we multiplied 3 things together, so we should say 21 what? Inches cubed. Don't forget your label now. And again, that's what's going to be a little bit more complicated on the next test or the next quiz. So again, notice here that their 2 examples were basically the exact same thing. What happens if instead of giving you this height, they do give you a slant height? Can I figure it out? Well, then I'd have to make sure that, like in this case right here, if it's a square, I'd have to know what this length is right here, and how do I figure out that length? Well, if it's a square, when I draw this, what I would call a or a aphothum, when I draw that, what does it do to my length of 8? It splits it in half. So this length right here would be 4, and then I'm just going to basically make a right triangle if they give me a slant height to find the size of that height. Does that make sense what I'm saying there? So if, for instance, this happened, and hopefully I can kind of draw that. There's my slant height. I would draw this across here, and then I would form that right triangle. Okay? I don't know if that's going to happen, but it probably should somewhere. And then the cone, the same thing. Notice here, this one's a little oblique. But as long as they show me that it's a 90-degree angle, I don't really care if it's oblique or if it's a perfect right cone. Do I have all the information? Yes, I have my height and I have my radius. Again, don't get confused and don't get going too fast if they give you this as a diameter. And again, this book's not real great about it. So if they extend this and then point to that, you have to assume that that number means that it's the whole diameter and not just the side that it's pointing to. Okay? Do we need to see the math? So we're going to do pi times 9.1 squared times 25 divided by 3. And again, you can kind of divide by 3 whenever you want. So this is just a regular cone, but again, they don't make it any more complicated. This one, they actually show that a true oblique one. So just notice, it doesn't matter where that height is again. And again, when they do this with an oblique and they have this little diagonal, or sorry, this little dashed line right here, does that have anything to do with it? No, I don't care about that dashed line. The only thing I care about is a radius. So again, do I have enough information in this? Yeah, I have my height, I have my radius for my area of my base, and then I'm just going to divide by 3 again. So again, they don't make it any of their examples real complicated, but just remember, the same thing here. If we would go back to this example right here, and they had this distance right here, we could still find this as long as they gave us the information across here. So they would have had to given us this little dash part, and then we would have had a leg here and a leg here, and we would have just used Pythagorean theorem. Well, actually, we would have had the hypotenuse in the leg. Okay? So, questions with any of that? Again, notice at the end of this section, there is a nice little chart that has all of the formulas that you need. And in our book, this is on page, of course it is. But that is in the book, so I would guess about 875. Okay? Questions with this? So here are your problems. You got a lot of time today. Take advantage of the time. Some of you got things going on tonight. You got track meets, you got whatever. Take advantage of the time. Do the problems in class so you don't have to worry about it outside of class. So write down the assignment real quick, and then we need to go back and correct the other assignments.